Welcome to Chainsaw Wars. Homelight, Poulan, and Stihl.
Well, up at the cabin we had a couple of dead trees and we paid somebody to come up here and cut them down for us, but left them in 6-foot lengths because I actually want to turn a couple of the bigger ones into some slabs. So we'll also test out 3 different chainsaws and do a side-by-side comparison, the newest of which is a new Stihl MS180 CBE, and it's got some cool features that we're going to show you. But these 2 trees are going to take a while to cut up.
So first things first, let's talk about the fact that I am not a professional lumberjack. So an average homeowner, I've got some trees on my lot and I have a couple of dead ash trees that had to be taken care of. And so we're going to be cutting those up into pieces. The reason they died is because of this emerald ash borer. Now they lay a bunch of eggs and then the larvae bore these holes, get into the sap layer and kill the tree. So I'm not working underneath an overhead canopy of dead branches or anything like that, so I don't happen to have a helmet, but I am going to have steel-toed boots, I'm going to have ear protection, eye protection, heavy gloves, and that'll be, for my particular application, that'll be enough as a average homeowner to get the job done. So let's start with the 14-inch 9-amp electric chainsaw from Homelight. Now do as I say, not as I do, and get that leg out of there. You don't want any body part in the way of the cutting bar. But this little electric chainsaw does a pretty good job. I use this in my wood shop quite a bit and around the backyard. Now it doesn't have all the power of a gas engine, but it gets through the wood 45 seconds. And now for the Poulan 14-inch gas chainsaw. And I have to tell you, you can see already in colder weather, this chainsaw has trouble just maintaining RPM. And so I've struggled with this chainsaw for 7 years. In warmer weather, it does pretty well, and I've taken down a couple of small trees and done trimming with it. Once it gets warmed up, it runs, it cuts. And even with the chain sharpened here, when I put any load on it, when I try to push down into the wood, it tends to bog down and won't keep running. That took 1:28. So let's be fair. There's plenty of great consumer reviews on this particular chainsaw. I only spent 79 bucks for it originally. You can get them for about $99 now. I don't have a lot of run hours on it. You know, it's got a new air filter and plug. There's not a whole lot of reasons why it shouldn't perform, but I've always had trouble with it. Now for the Stihl 16-inch. I don't have to speed up this video. And you can tell when I put too much pressure on it, on the bar, it bogged down, so I had to let off, but still, you know, 19 seconds to get through that same thickness of log. And for additional cuts, once the steel was warmed up, it's a single pull and not even a hard pull. We'll talk about that feature a little bit later. Very clean and very quick. And so, with just 2.5 tanks of gas and oil mixture, I was able to get through about 80 feet of that tree, and the diameters varied anywhere from 7 to 8 inches all the way up to 15 or 16 inches. And here's another test at a purely cold start. The other thing you're going to notice here is that I'm not pulling very hard, and that's because there's an internal spring built in. And when you pull the cord, it engages that spring, and the spring actually starts the motor. And now once I got it past the choke and I shut it off, watch how easy this is. A simple pull, very easy pull. The spring engages and turns the motor over. really impressive.
So even from a cold start, and it's about 34 degrees outside when I just tested this, it only takes a couple of pulls to get it going at full choke, and then after that it starts up immediately. So I really like the response from the engine, and it performed really well at the cabin. But like I said, this pull start is really cool, and compared to my old pull-on chainsaw, your arm would go tired trying to get that thing started on certain days. So what a big upgrade for this. We're also going to talk about some of the cleaning features and some of the internal features, and there is a tool-less chain adjustment mechanism built in here, so it's easier to see with the guard off. But if you loosen this overall nut, it becomes very easy to tighten or loosen the chain. It becomes very easy. If I want to tighten this up, and you should tighten it up, you just turn this upper knob till it's, got just enough play but it still moves, and then you just twist this closed so that it's tight and lock it down, and that's it. No tools required to tighten up this chain. In fact, for all the cutting that we did, it never really pulled back or expanded. Then the pull-in chain, I had to go back and adjust it and tighten it back up a couple of times when I was using it on my last tree. So what a big upgrade with this. The other thing that's pretty cool is it's easy to clean. So by just unscrewing this entire mechanism, the cover comes off, and I have yet to completely clean it out, but the whole mechanism actually comes off this way as well. So this is the tightening or the loosening bracket that connects to that knob, and once you loosen that up, the whole thing comes off pretty easily. So quite an upgrade for my inexpensive entry-level pull-in, and this is a little bit more than double the cost of that, but the performance was really amazing. So I'm really pleased with this particular purchase.
Well, let's dive into a little bit of a summary. So first of all, this Homelight 14-inch, you can get it for around $49.95. You know what? For the average homeowner and for branch use and small trees, this is a great purchase, and it'll do most of what you need to do. And this Pool & Gas 14-inch, you know what? If I bought it a 12-pack and I ask really nicely on a warm day, it kind of works for me, but I'm over it. And the Stihl MS180 CBE, I am just really happy with this purchase. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this week's video. We hope you like it, and we hope you subscribe to the channel. And now for a little extra footage, let's talk about safety and common sense. And so, if you read the manual and you see other YouTube videos out there, in fact, heavily sponsored YouTube videos, people are going to have a pretty expensive barrage of safety equipment. And, I would say if you can afford it, buy it all. But in some cases, you have to apply some common sense when it comes to the items that you're going to need in order to protect yourself. And so first of all, you're going to see recommendations for a full helmet, face shield, ear protection. And I think it's a great idea if you're working even on your own property and there's a lot of overhanging branches and dead branches that could potentially fall on your head, then this is something you have to have. But man, those things are pricey. Now I've got a pair of steel-toed boots, and you need something like that because the logs are going to roll on your feet. You've got to have this. You don't have to spend a ton to get a decent pair of boots. Now here's where I come into some disagreement. Now chaps are there. They won't prevent the bar and the chain from cutting into your leg, but they slow it down. But, if you're working in strange positions as a lumberjack and your legs are kind of spread across the material you're cutting, then I like the idea of chaps. But if you're working on just branches or small trees, this is a purchase that, for safety reasons, you feel you got to have it, then get it. But I don't have a pair of chaps. Now, good heavy gloves and some eye protection, those things are a must. But I mean, you could spend $800 on this entire group of safety equipment, and the instructions and the manufacturer will recommend that you get these things. If you can afford it, I'll recommend them too. But I think for just working around the yard, you've got to follow some common sense rules. So read the manual, follow the instructions, buy the right safety equipment. Always watch the travel of the saw. That's the biggest deal. Keep your body parts away from the saw at all times. Think safe, act safe, and be safe. Thanks, everybody.